Screw it, we're doing another horrible carnivorous plant video review. So you can see this one is extremely photoshopped. Venus flytrap eating a cat. Extremely photoshopped. So let's see how bad this is. I'm going to review it. Let's go.
We know you've heard of Venus flytraps, the most famous of all carnivorous plants. We've seen them in cartoons and learned about them in school. But there are many more like them out in the world, and different types with different mechanisms of trapping their prey.
I was literally about to say, so far the videos are right, and they show this random awesome bro movie thing. This is the same as the last one, bro. The last one had a good start, but then they showed the same exact movie clip. Like, come on, you have to ruin it. I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is actually pretty decent so far. But then they show this stupid movie clip for no reason. That's super, like, edgy. Come on, the last video did this too, bruh.
However, it takes a very long time for them to digest their food. It would take them weeks to just digest just the tip of a human finger. If we are alive when they chomp down on our finger, by the time they start to break the finger down, we would have already healed. So, their choice of prey is usually insects because they're easier to digest, and preferably dead ones so they can't heal themselves.
Preferably dead
Welcome
ones
to
not
another
inherently accurate because they trap live insects. So, I mean, some actually might benefit from live insects because they have more nutrients.
Episode of Forever Green.
Because live insects have more nutrients, so they're probably more beneficial.
Look at 10 plants that eat animals. But first, why do they eat animals? Well, carnivorous plants derive their energy from photosynthesis, but get their nutrition from animals and insects. They tend to grow in areas with poor soil quality, so we can forgive them for turning carnivorous due to the lack of nutrition from soil.
What do you mean by forgiving them? They're plants.
Despite how little we learned of them, there are actually around 600 species of these plants.
More, but I could be incorrect.
Keeps increasing by 3 species every year.
And you're showing a weird, edgy movie clip, which is unrealistic. That's not how a real Venus flytrap behaves, bro.
Large carnivorous plant.
Not saying it's a bad movie, but it shouldn't be in an educational video.
Number 10. The tropical pitcher plant.
So if we're going off how deadly they are, this should be number 1, but I don't know if it is, so this is fine. But if it is if they're going off how dangerous they are, this should be number 1, because it can eat, like, rats and stuff. Oh. So yeah. If they are going by how deadly they are, this should be number 1. Oh. Random anime, I don't care.
Also called the monkey cup, because the pitchers are used as drinking cups by monkeys.
The other one showed an AI-generated image of eating a monkey, which is incorrect. The fact that this person acknowledges that monkeys drink from it is correct.
No, don't worry. They're too big to be eaten by the pitcher plant.
Unlike the last video, which tried to show that they can eat monkeys, which is wrong. This person's correct.
This plant is fairly common too, but not as common as Venus flytraps.
I'm not sure if that's correct. There's only one species of Venus flytrap, yet there's a lot of species of tropical pitcher plants, so I'm not sure if this is correct, because there's a lot more species of tropical pitchers.
There are more than 100 species of pitcher plants around the world. The main thing that distinguishes this plant from other carnivorous plants is its size. The pitchers of this plant can reach over a foot in height, making it ideal for capturing and digesting insects, lizards, and amphibians. Animals are attracted to the sweet-scented nectar, and once they fall into the pitcher, digesting them can take up to 2 months. For most species, dissolved insects provide them with the nitrogen they need, but some other species get creative. One species of pitcher plant, the Nepenthes ampullaria, catches falling leaves, which produces nitrogen as it decomposes. I guess technically, that doesn't make these specific plants carnivorous. They are, nevertheless, in the pitcher plant family.
This is something I mentioned in the last video, that some carnivorous plants, if a dead leaf falls inside them, or live leaf, I guess. I mentioned in the other video that if there's a plant material that falls in, they'll eat it as well. So if, like, a leaf fell in, they'll still eat it. So this person acknowledging that as well is pretty good. You are not showing a cobra lily, you're showing a flower, which is not from a cobra lily. You're showing something incorrect. We're not showing the right plant.
Cobra lily.
There you go. That's the right plant.
It's a pretty name for a very devious and cruel
Devious
plant.
and cruel. I mean, they're not sentient, but that is how it works. They are devious. They trick their insects and cruel. I don't know.
An even more beautiful name is Darlingtonia californica,
And you're showing
which is the
an incorrect
scientific
plant
name for
again.
the
This is
cobra
a random
lily.
flower, not a cobra lily. This is something else.
Again, may we add, dangerous
Not dangerous
plant.
to humans, dangerous to bugs, not humans. Harmless to humans.
Cobra lily is named that way because it looks like a cobra snake is about to strike. It is a rare plant, native to
Why are
cold
you
water bodies
showing, like, Ohio or something? The pin is not in California, bro. It's so far away.
in Oregon and Northern California.
You're showing, like,
It
Carolina
has a
on that
sweet
map.
scent to lure in animals, but that's not why we call it cruel. The insides of this plant have numerous see-through false exits that exhausts its desperate and terrified victims as they try to escape. Like a house of mirrors, but if the house was eating you. I'm just glad humans
They
aren't one of
have
their
a good
preys.
comparison there, yeah. It's like a house of mirrors.
Oddly,
Or more like a
scientists have
house of windows, to be honest.
found the natural pollinators of this plant. Surely some insect must gather its pollen, or it wouldn't exist. Number 8. The Portuguese sundew.
Now you're
such
showing
dangerous
I think, a Cape
plants.
sundew, which I think is a different. I think you're showing the wrong kind of sundew. I think that's a Cape sundew, but I could be wrong.
They sure have really pretty names. The Portuguese sundew grows in nutrient-poor soil along the coasts of Spain, Portugal,
not even
and Morocco,
trying. That's the
which is
US
the reason
still,
if
bro. That is still the U.S. That. Oh my God, this map is. Harris would probably hate this map, bro.
feeds on insects. Like most other carnivorous plants, it attracts bugs with its sweet aroma and traps them with a sticky substance called mucilage on its leaves. The more they struggle, the more ensnared they become, and ultimately die from suffocation or exhaustion. The plant will then secrete enzymes, which dissolve the insects
So
and
overall, this video
release
is
the new.
pretty decent. It's definitely better than the last one. The last one was rancid garbage. This one is better. This one's also just more.
Which are then
I
absorbed
don't know why, but the last one was worse. This one's better.
by the plant.
Wait, what? I was
Number
just phrasing
7.
it, and they put Portuguese sundew 2 times? What?
The Australian
okay, you say
sundew.
Australia, but you show Portuguese. This is getting worse.
Plants are not generally known for their quick movements, but the Australian sundew wastes no time in snapping
Pretty
up
sure at
any
the time
unfortunate prey that happens to wander about. This plant sets a different trap from most other plants. See the raindrops on the leaves? Well, that's not water. It's a
What do
sticky
you mean
glue-like
different from other
substance
plants? This is how most sundews work, bro. This is normal for
that
sundews.
traps insects that believe it's water. The insects trigger the touch-sensitive tentacles and get catapulted right into the plant's digestive mouth. The tentacles then move the prey down to the leaf trap, and enzymes digest the insect into nutrients for the plant. This is nothing. As you keep going, these plants get more dangerous, and number 1 will shock
Number 1
you.
will shock you. Okay. They're not dangerous to humans.
Number 6,
So,
Oridula.
plant similar to a sundew. Oh my God, that is
These
not
plants
South
are
Africa. That is Ohio or whatever. Again, I don't know if it's Ohio, but like it's another place in the U.S., bro. Not Africa.
To
Why are you
South
showing
Africa, and they come with
why
a
are you
little
showing the US
twist.
when you're talking about Africa? Put more effort.
They don't digest the insects they trap with its sticky hairs. Instead, it outsources the job to a bug species called Hemorrhoidia rhoridulae, or informally known as assassin bugs, with which it has a symbiotic relationship. These bugs don't get stuck to the leaves of the Rhoridula plants because they are covered with a thick, greasy layer. When other
I
insects
don't know
get
if they
trapped
showed
by
the
the
best
plant,
clip.
the
It kind of looked like it was struggling to get out, but okay.
assassin bugs swarm to the prey and stab it, then suck out its insides. Pretty gruesome, but that's not the squeamish part. In return for trapping the insect for the assassin bug, the plant gets the excreted waste of the bug, which is especially rich in nutrients that the plant absorbs. That's nice, I guess? Number 5. Water
So
wheel
this
plant.
should be lower on the list because it's only dangerous to like tiny organisms This should be lower on the list. Or it should be like, this should not be a number 5. It should be like, it's not as dangerous.
You could say this is the aquatic version of the Venus flytrap. They share a common ancestor, a carnivorous plant that lived way back in the beginning of the Cenozoic era. Its trap is arranged in whorls around a free-floating stem.
A mosquito larvae, it's because it can't eat large prey. This should be lower on the list. Should be lower.
And this is one of the carnivorous plants capable of lightning-fast movement. When it has locked on its prey, the traps of the plant shut in as little as 1/100th of a second.
I feel like saying
no
locked
roots.
on its prey might be a bit misleading because the way they work is when hairs are triggered, they snap. Even if it's something that isn't prey, they'll still snap.
And floats on the surface of lakes,
a different plant entirely. This is a different plant.
enticing
This is
insects
a
with its
bladder
small
wart,
traps.
not a water wheel.
Each trap is surrounded by 4 and 6 to 8 millimeter long bristles, which prevent triggering of traps by the debris in the water. This species is also something of a global citizen. It is one of the largest and most disconnected distributions of any flowering species and grows in more than 40 countries across 4 continents, from the cold, subarctic
That
region
is
of
not
North
Russia or
Russia
Australia. You're showing the United States again.
to the warmer southern coasts of Australia. Despite this, the water wheel plant is an endangered species, declining over the last century, and grows only in shallow and acidic waters of nutrient-poor swamps. Before we move on, here's a quick challenge for you. If you can leave a
begging
like on
for
this video,
attention.
smash that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications in less than 5 seconds, you will have 10
Begging
years
for
of
attention.
amazing luck. Hurry up and try
Why are they
it.
showing
It actually
such an expensive
works.
car, bro? It's not going to give you that.
Number 4. Big
Again,
floating
only
bladder.
microscopic animals. This is not as
Wart.
dangerous.
Well,
You're showing the not cobra lily. That's not a cobra lily. That's not the carnivorous cobra lily. That's something else.
I guess we're done with the pretty names. The big floating bladderwort is also an aquatic carnivorous
least
plant.
you're actually
It is
showing the
native
United States this time. Showing the proper area at least.
to the coastal plains of the United States. They eat snails, slugs, and small fish. It's quite a nuisance actually, because these plants are mat-forming. That is, they have creeping stems that grow in a trail and spread out to produce a mat-like cover. It's also quite problematic, as this is an invasive species. Studies done in the Adirondack Mountains of New York showed that the presence of these species caused major changes in nutrient cycling, sediment chemistry, and overall productivity of the area. But it seems we have found a use for them. Their leaves, when dried, serve as medicinal tea, which help treat kidney stones, spasms, fluid retention, and aid in weight loss. It is sometimes also applied to the skin directly for burns and swelling.
I'm not a doctor, so I can't say these are true or not. This is even less
Number
dangerous.
3.
This thing eats even smaller creatures, like single-cell organisms. This is even less
Corkscrew
dangerous.
plant. If you saw this plant out in the wild, you wouldn't understand why it's called a corkscrew plant, or why it's considered
I feel
carnivorous.
like you'd understand
It has
because the
small,
leaves are corkscrew.
uncarnivorous leaves on the soil surface to help with photosynthesis, but it has corkscrew roots. These
The
roots
are
are
actually
long.
leaves and not roots. It has leaves instead of roots. So you're wrong.
Pale and resemble tree roots and trap microorganisms found in soil. The
They
roots
are
have a
leaves,
groove
not
that
roots.
allow
It has underground leaves, not roots.
organisms to travel up the root. But it's a one-way travel because very tiny hairs make sure that the organism travels
People
only
can tell
upwards.
It's called corkscrew plant too, because look, the leaves on the top are corkscrew.
Once
Yeah.
it reaches the
I was just talking to someone. Hold on. Yeah.
base of the plant, the prey has no choice but to enter the chamber where it is slowly digested. There are about 30 species of the corkscrew plant, and they grow in wet, terrestrial, and semi-aquatic environments in
Look how
Africa
corkscrew
and
that is.
Central
People
and
can tell. And also, you're showing North America again when you're not talking about North America.
South America. We're now going to take a quick break to check out this week's subscriber pick. If you find a weird
Okay,
or
I
bizarre
think it's
photo
gonna
you
be
just
some
can't
sort of
explain,
monstrosity.
send it over to us and we'll investigate. Now,
Oh my
Let's
god,
take a look at this
are you
one.
kidding me? The freaking Photoshop.
a kitten in
So
a
what
Venus
sort of subscriber
flytrap.
sent this in? This is, are they like a 5-year-old or something? This is so obviously fake.
Well, like we discussed before, Venus flytraps can't digest anything too big. The trap would barely shut around the tip of a human finger, let alone an entire kitten. They can only digest tiny, dead insects.
They capture live insects, and they start to digest the insects while they're still alive, so you're wrong. They digest the insects while they're still alive, so you're wrong.
Calling it, folks. This
Yes,
one's
that is
a fake.
extremely obviously fake. But yes, Venus flytraps do digest live prey, so you're wrong about that.
Sorry, but there is a plant that can eat prey larger than
Stop
insects.
showing this
We'll
movie. That
discuss
is not scientifically correct. This is educational, not a blockbuster. Stop showing it.
that in a minute. Let's look at number 2, the Venus flytrap.
You better not show that Austin Bro movie thing again.
We can't talk about carnivorous plants and not include this little guy. Yep, little. Contrary to what you might have seen in cartoons and
There
movies.
you go, contrary to the movies. And why do you keep showing it before? To be scary or something? You just admitted you're wrong.
Venus flytraps are
Just
actually
admit you're
quite
wrong,
small. They're a half a foot in length, and the sticky eyelid traps, which look really long, are only about an inch long. They're creepier than you expect, actually.
Hold on.
If ever you magically turn
People.
Alright, we're back.
turn
We're back. I had to take a break for a sec. We're back.
They're a half a foot in length, and the sticky eyelid traps, which look really long, are only about an inch long. They're creepier than you expect, actually. If ever you magically turn
expect. Right? Well, I guess that's an opinion, so it doesn't really matter.
to a fly and get caught in the trap, remember, not to panic. If you stay very, very
Correct.
still,
If you were an
the
insect and you stayed perfectly still, it would reopen. So he's correct.
trap will open the next morning
Correct.
and you could fly out. Fighting your way out will only quicken the digestion process, because the more you struggle, the more it tells the plant how vigorously to kill you. If you're trapped, the plant will take a few days to digest you, and a week later, the trap is laid for another insect.
That is correct.
Here's something you probably didn't know. Because Venus flytraps take a very long time to digest their food, they can't risk closing their traps for debris. To cut down on false alarms, this plant will snap shut only if an insect touches 2 different interior hairs in the course of 20
So
seconds.
that is correct as well.
Another thing you probably didn't know is that each time the trap shuts, its lifespan gets shorter. When you're told not to touch a Venus flytrap, it's not for your safety, because you'll be completely unharmed. But the plant can only take about 10 false alarms before it dies.
You're right. It's so it doesn't harm the plant. It doesn't not harm you. So it's kind of admitting that they're not deadly, but
The next time you see one, resist the urge to poke your finger into it, and just keep walking.
well, they are deadly to insects, not people. So he's kind of contradicting himself from what he said in the beginning.
Before we reveal number 1, be sure to check out other amazing videos on our channel, and give us a like if you enjoyed this video so far. Tell us in comments which one of
Look at
these you like the most
clickbait
and
thumbnails. Wow.
why. Let's take a look
Okay.
at the number
This deserves to be on number 1 because it is the largest species.
1. Nepenthes raja. Nepenthes raja is the largest of the pitcher plants.
Correct.
And
And I don't think you're showing a Roger right now. I think that's something else.
it's also the largest carnivorous plant in the world. Raja in Hindi
That is
means
also
king,
the wrong type of Nepenthes. They're showing the wrong kind.
and this plant is often referred to as king of the pitcher plants. The
Now
plant
you're
is
showing the right
essentially
kind.
a trap filled with up to 3.5 liters of water and 2.5 liters of digestive fluid. When
And
insects
you're showing
fall
the
in,
wrong kind again. Where is the consistency? You're showing the wrong kind again.
they're unable to escape and are almost instantly digested by the plant.
Instantly is probably a bit of exaggeration. It takes time.
But that's not why the Nepenthes raja is in the number
Because
1
its
spot.
size, yes.
While insects, particularly ants, are a staple for this plant, the larger ones catch bigger prey. On many occasions, people have found rats, half digested inside the pitchers, and even birds, lizards, and frogs. In addition to that, the Nepenthes Raja has an interesting relationship with tree shrews. Over the years, they've evolved to entice these squirrel-like, insectivorous tree dwellers. Their shape and size force the shrews to defecate directly into the plant's cups, providing them with the nitrogen they need. This also helps shrews who prefer to mark their feeding territory.
Now, I'm not sure if saying the shrew is insectivorous is correct because they eat the nectar from the plant, but I could be wrong.
Now I have 2 reasons not to go anywhere near them. Many of these plants are kept by hobbyists. Are you planning to keep any of these plants at home? It's a good way
And
to get rid
again,
of
you're showing
bugs.
a different Nepenthes.
Let us know in the comments below. Well, that's it for the top 10 plants that eat animals. If you like this video, check out our video on the 10 most beautiful insect.
Okay, so that is the end of the video. It's better than the last one, but it's still bad. It's still bad, but it's better than the last one. There you go.